Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Seniors Can We Talk? I'm Linda Prio,
And I'm Polly Lemire.
and I have a podcast called Aging in Place Strategies and Answers. And Polly,
My website is called Thrive After 65, and it's dedicated to helping people our age, how would I say, live their best life,
yes,
even after 65.
and that's why we're here today. Is we're going to be talking today about self-awareness, which is very different than being aware of what other people are doing, which is so much easier than being self-aware. But we're going to have some great ideas and tips and tools for you today. So please grab your favorite beverage, get a chair, come and sit at our table, and let's just have a chat about self awareness. I lead a small women's group and I talk with people all the time, Polly, and I hear a lot of people are really stressed out, anxious, and fearful. And I know that I too can suffer from that from time to time. That's my go-to. You helped me understand that our brains have a negative bias, and that's sometimes where we go. All right. And then there's other things that we do to ourselves that can sabotage our brains. And that's when we get swept up into some emotional state that can really rob us of our joy, our peace, and our calm. And those things can come from watching the morning news, they can come from social media, they can come from a well intended friend, an
Our
email.
own children.
Oh, wait a minute. Our own children, maybe an email. I know that some friends say they get so many emails from friends, and especially during the political stuff, that they don't even know what's true anymore. So today we're going to be talking about self-awareness and journaling. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to rat you out, Polly. You are a long time journaler.
Right. And and I believe you're also a journaler too.
I
And
am.
I think for both of us, we start out our mornings with prayer or meditation. I sometimes also listen to some music. I have my little, I'm not going to say what it is, but a certain kind of speaker near me that listens to my voice and gets the music. But I'll put on beautiful music. And that morning ritual of being still and then writing in a journal is probably my most precious and favorite time of the day. It's the stillness.
Mhm.
It's the time. It's something that you're doing really for yourself. It's when they talk about self-care, I would say it is probably the single greatest step one can take for oneself, especially when one is feeling stressed or overwhelmed,
Which
because it's
is
a place where you can be listened to because you're writing it down.
which is really funny because that's about the last thing you think of when you're really stressed out. But Polly also told me when we were discussing the title for this talk, it is that being self-aware is one of the pillars of being able to age well. And so we thought we'd talk about some of our habits that we do that help us create mindfulness and self-awareness and Polly, she's the tiny habits coach, so she's going to give us some tips on ways to start. But I was thinking about this talk, Polly, and I thought to myself, some many times I'm filled with song. I have a song in my mind or a song in my heart or a song that really is speaking to me about a particular situation. So the last few days, so I'm going to give myself 2 gold stars for this new habit that I've started, but I've been singing this song is this is the day that the Lord has made. We all know this, or many of us know this song, but it just reminds me, new day. I got
Yeah.
a song in my heart, and I don't know
I
how the day's going to go or how it's going to roll. Are you laughing? Is that your same
no,
song?
no,
Oh, okay.
I'm laughing because I have a song that I sing to my kitty.
Oh,
It's good morning, sky, good morning, sun, and all the little things that run, run, run. I'm wide awake and up now too. Soon I'll come out to play with you.
okay. Maybe we're a little off, but we're happy being this way, right?
But again, that you're setting your intention for the day with a simple ritual like singing a silly song or getting out of bed and putting your feet on the floor and saying, today is going to be a great day, or saying something amazing is going to happen today, because that's what sets your brain looking for those things rather than just sliding out of bed. I
Well,
think Mel Robbins talks about sliding out of bed and slinking on the floor. She feels bad.
well, it's true, Polly, because when you work or you have to take care of kids, I mean, obviously, you don't even get that chance to kind of lay in bed a little bit longer. And when you're working, you're getting up. It's a discipline. You're up, you're going, you're moving. You don't really get a time to reflect. But when you're a senior and you're out of that schedule and out of that routine, especially as I notice in the work that I've done over the last 20 years, there's a lot of languishing in bed or thinking that, oh, I'm going to go to bed as late as humanly possible, because night could be long or hard, and then not getting a great night's sleep, and then not wanting to get up in the morning. And I'm going to make the argument that when you start setting an intention for your day and having this journal to go to or looking forward to the day,
Sort of a ritual of self-care that you
it would.
start your day off. I guess that's part of it, is you're starting your day off in a very gentle self-care way. You're making your special cup of tea or your special cup of coffee. You have your favorite chair, your favorite place to write. You have a journal, and hopefully it's something that's really a nice journal. I get these ones. I think they're made in Germany or something. It's called Liebstrong or something or other. And it has really good paper in it. But it's such a beautiful way to start out the day. And I put on my special music, and I have my quiet time first, and then I just pick up my pen. And it doesn't have to be fancy. People think, well, you have to be a great writer or have all these journal prompts. It is simple as, this is what happened yesterday, and this is how I felt about it. And
Mhm.
it is amazing that and this is how I first started as an adult. I've always kept journals. I was keeping a diary, which I had to cut open the lock because I lost the key when I was 12 years old.
Were
I
your parents journalers? I just have to ask. Were your
No, I
parents?
don't know
No?
where I just picked it up, and I was writing all about my boyfriend.
At 12. And of course, it
Yes,
was under lock and key.
yes. And when it was my granddaughter's 16th birthday, I gave it to her to keep.
Oh, yes.
Because I thought that would be such a neat thing to have. Here's your grandmother's,
Journal. Yes,
when she was
absolutely.
like 12 years old. These are all the things she was thinking about. So,
Well, I'll do a full disclosure then because I have a relative, Elizabeth Prentice, who wrote Stepping Heavenward, and it is her journal about her foibles of life
yeah.
as a young person and as a teenager and then a young married woman. And
Mhm,
believe
mhm.
me, she was not perfect, as none of us are, but it's her journal. And I cannot tell you how precious that is to me that this relative, this ancient relative, has left this for our family as a legacy. So
Right.
maybe that's who I get it from. I bet that is. I think that's so cool. Yes, so I just started singing this song in the morning. So I'm into a new habit, so I'll report back on that. But yes, for me to have this time is really it sets my day on a whole new course, and it helps me to recalibrate or to reset from the day before. So there could have been something that caused me angst or anxiousness or caused me to be fearful. Uh, I can assure you that if you are reading my journal, it is not clever. on any level. It is not clever. It is not well written. You probably couldn't even read my writing, to tell you the truth, because I like to write in a certain way when I'm going fast. And so I loop too many loops. And so it's not even probably readable unless you're me. But that's my time that I do my journal. And I can tell you that I don't do it every single day, but there are most days where there's an entry, and I really don't care what I'm writing on. I know that it makes sense to have something pretty that you go to, but I just have notebook paper and but I mean the little front cover's kind of fun, but
A spiral bound
it's just a
notebook.
spiral bound notebook. It has
Mhm.
that, I think back into some of the historical fiction books that I read, and paper was in short supply, and they were writing on anything they had. So you know what? Do what works best, and
Mhm.
and it's always fun to begin somewhere. So, Polly, you've been doing this a long time, and I know that you have experienced some wins from doing this. What are some things that journaling helps you with? Like you said,
Okay. I've always done some journaling in one way or another, but what the book that really sort of turned me into a fiercely everyday journaler was when I did the 6 week program by Julia Cameron that's called The Artist's Way. Julia Cameron is a specialist who does all kinds of workshops for screenwriters and writers, writers who are writing novels, but especially she started out with screenwriters and she did these special workshops. And one of the rules when you take one of her workshops, and now it's in a book form that you can take it, is that every morning you have to write morning pages. And her belief is that when you do these morning pages, you are opening the creative part of you, the person who's observing what's going on and thinking about what's going on, in addition to participating in what's going on.
hmm
So what I found is that this particular time that I was taking it, I was caring for a life partner who was very ill and very ambivalent. It was probably one of the most trying times of my life when you realize that the person that you're with is no longer the person that you originally, how can I say that, it's no longer the same person,
right,
and
exactly.
that there's a loss that you're faced with every day. And
Yeah.
there's just all kinds of, I mean, there's so many different issues when you've got somebody who's terminally ill that you're dealing with. And that process of getting up early in the morning, I would meditate and I would light a candle and just write down all of the things, the good things, the little victories, but sometimes it was about all the miseries too. And it was like my sacred place to tell someone what was on my heart.
Right.
And just that process of unburdening what was on my heart helped me to, number one, see what I was going through from a larger perspective. And it also helped me to feel comforted in some way.
hmm
It was like you had a chance to tell your very best, closest friends when they can't always be with you, certainly not at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No.
Um, to tell somebody what's going on. And that's why we all know talk therapy works so well. It's
Yes.
because you are just processing. And when you're writing, it also slows down your brain. So
hmm
that almost always, the first page that I write is just, this is what happened yesterday, blah, 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 blah. But I can guarantee you that by the last paragraph, suddenly something, well, this is what I thought about it, or it made me wonder about this, or it just opens the possibility for your creative side to come in and either see it from a different perspective or see some solutions. It's definitely a way for you to open up to the creative resources that are within you. In fact, when I was in some of the most toughest situations where I really didn't have answers, I myself, I believe in that I have a higher self, a soul, a
Yes.
higher self. And I would write down my question that I was worried about. And then I would just pick up my pen and I would say from my highest self, I'd write from my highest self, dearest one. And then I'd wait to see what came out, and it would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the great comforts that I had during difficult times in my life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm such a great believer in journaling. Another thing about journaling, especially as we get older, we do experience major changes, illnesses, changes in our living circumstances, changes in our family dynamics, and all of this kind of thing. And I think that as we go through those changes, one of the things that it does is it gives us a way forward of seeing the progress we're making. I have a friend who recently had triple bypass surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, she was feeling really down, like, oh, it's taking forever. And yet, as she wrote in her journal and could look back, she could even look back a week or two before and see, oh my gosh, I actually have improved. So
Yes.
it's also a way to sort of gauge that you are actually moving through a transition or, anything that's really difficult to be handling.
Yes.
Um, I think it also improves your mood. I don't know, because you're putting things down on paper, you're unloading it from running around in your head so much. So I think that is another great reason to do it. But the biggest thing of all is it makes you more aware, and it opens up the opportunity for a different perspective instead of running around feeling depressed or anxious or upset, as it's so easy nowadays,
Yes.
uh, with these negative things running around in your head. Getting them out into the open and giving yourself the opportunity to process these feelings and your thoughts is probably one of the most healthiest mental and emotional tools that you could have.
Yes.
So
I
overall,
find that.
I can't say enough for how
Yeah.
important I think journaling is.
And I think I feel the same way, that it does bring perspective, and
Mhm.
it does help you to see where what you really think about something, and maybe you're wrong. And so then you can move back to center, or maybe you can be open to another person's ideas or ways of doing something, so a little bit more compassion, a little bit less critical of others, but also let's also throw out there that we can be less critical of ourselves, because we have worth, and we have value. And I, with my journal, as Polly says, I can just share whatever thoughts are on my mind, and then it's done. It's there.
Right.
And
And one of the things both of us do, we give ourselves gold stars.
yes, we do.
And I don't have them around right here easily accessible to me, but I have all kinds. I have stickers.
Oh yes,
I
she's
have
got fun
stickers.
stuff.
I have smiley faces. So it's a place where, you can't always crow to other people, oh, look what I did. But you can do it for yourself.
Yes, yes, and celebrate those victories, because we know
Right,
that's what really
right,
helps us to move
right,
forward.
right.
So in senior health, there is nothing
Yes, that's what I
better.
was going to ask you, because you see it more from the health point of view. So,
Yeah, I do, because it's so important to have the ability to do some brain activity. Remember, the brain's muscle, we don't use it. It just is out there floundering, and then it's going to get flaccid, and then it's not going to work properly. So just know that there are cognitive and brain health benefits that come from you journaling. And of course, isn't it wonderful to just hold a pen and write? So, first of all, with your arthritis, and I know that because we type so much now, we're losing the ability to write. So sometimes I'll even find like, oh my gosh, I forgot how to spell that word. That's crazy because I'm a really good speller. So, just having to spell words is really a benefit. And, you know, when you rely on writing, it's a way of learning, so it can improve your recall. I'm a very much a visual learner and I have to write things down, but when I write it down, I can visualize it and then I recall it easier. So that recall clarity, the mental sharpness, and then of course, just it encourages problem solving. And you, Polly, are the one who told me that that's what our brains like to do. So if
It's what they're
you
built for.
so we have this super processor in our brain, and so journaling allows us to problem solve. And that's why at the end of your session and at the end of mine, I get up and I feel like I've come to the table, I've done some battle, I've learned some things about myself, I know what's important, but I've also feel like I've got a better grip on what's going on,
Right. You
and now
you
I can
set
move forward.
you have set a process in motion. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Do you ever do jigsaw puzzles?
I am not the puzzler, I'm the reader. My
Okay, well,
husband's the puzzler.
I'd love to explain this to you because it's a phenomenon that anybody who does jigsaw puzzles is going to recognize. You're struggling with a jigsaw puzzle and you're looking and looking and looking for this one particular piece. And you look, finally you give up and you walk away. And the next morning you sit down, you look at the same puzzle and you find your hand. Now, this is your hand. It's like you're not making your hand just moves over, picks up a piece and you're thinking, well, why am I picking up this piece? And your hand, commanded by your operating system, goes over and it is the exact piece for the. I've had it happen so many times. What it tells me is we can struggle with something for a while, but when you let it go by writing it down, you are giving that super processor in your brain the opportunity to come up with solutions.
Yes.
So and that's a very real phenomenon. That is what your brain loves to do, come up with solutions. So,
Yeah.
yes, so definitely journaling helps with that.
Yeah, so if you find yourself in that situation where you're just sort of getting robbed of your joy, or your emotional stress level is high, I look at this as a time to recalibrate. And then, if our computers aren't working or we don't get where we need to go, we turn them off and turn them back on. That, to Polly's point of the puzzle. But there's also a refresh button. Sometimes we just have to refresh on our computer, and that sets the reset button, and then that causes things to start operating properly again. So, Polly, if I wanted to start a tiny habit of journaling, what get us started? What might be a
Okay,
tiny habit that
so
somebody
I
might
think
put into
the
place?
first thing is your intention for doing it. And what I mean by this, what I mean to say is that the first step is realizing that this is a special time just for you.
Mm-hmm.
So make it special. Have a special, if you're going to journal in the morning, have things set up so that you're ready to do it. Your coffee's ready to be made, or maybe you have it on a timer, or your tea, whatever beverage it is you have, or if it's in the evening, or whenever your special time is, but make it a special time,
Mm-hmm.
a time that you treasure. So one of the things that I've learned just from teaching tiny habits and doing it for quite a while is that whole idea of making it pretty. So it is worth investing in at least a nice notebook. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it really takes some time. Go to a bookstore. Bookstores carry all kinds of
Yes, they
lined
do.
line notebooks and find one that really sort of appeals to you, that the either the picture on the front of it or the look or the feel of it. Invest in a really nice, I have a special kind of pen that I use.
Yes.
And it glides so smoothly. So kinesthetically, I'm actually enjoying the process of writing. So make it pretty. So find things that make it, like with your coffee. Instead of making it some crummy old mug, have a special coffee cup
Yes.
or a special cup of tea. Polish your silver. Use your special silver. Do little things like that. So that's the first thing. Make it so that it's actually visually appealing to you and kinesthetically appealing to you. And then choose a special time. One of the hallmarks of creating a new behavior is to have a prompt to do the behavior. So the prompt is either after I brush my teeth, I will get out my journal, or after I make the coffee, I will go to my kitchen table and get out my journal, or just make it a very specific prompt. And of course, the other thing is that as soon as you do, especially when you're starting this, Linda and I don't do that. I don't do this anymore because now it's just a habit.
Right.
But when you're establishing a habit, be proud of yourself that you did it. Even if all you do is write one page, there's certain journals. There's a 5-year journal where you just write one sentence per day, and you do it on each page. It'd be 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. And each day you can go back and you can see what you wrote exactly a year before. So
Uh-huh.
it could be just one sentence. But in most cases, you'll find you do the one sentence and then another one comes up. And you don't have to have special prompts. You can do that if you want to, if you really get into it. But I usually start out just by writing about what happened the day before.
Yeah.
And then I'll go into my thoughts about what happened the day before. But sometimes it's just, this is what happened the day before, and that's the end. And then I go on.
Yeah.
Make it easy to do. So have the journal, have your pen, have it in a place that's a designated place so you don't have to look for it. Make it really easy to do and make it fun. Sticky notes, what are these?
Yeah. The
Smiley
stickers.
faces.
Yeah.
It's a place, you can't always, how would I say, especially people brought up in our generation, well, it's not nice to call attention to yourself. This is a place where you can congratulate yourself
Yeah.
and all those small achievements, all those things that took the little extra bit that you could have welched out on, but you did anyway. It's a place to mark your victories.
Yes,
So,
yes. And you can start small too.
yes,
Now some people think, oh, that sounds like that's a lot of time. Well, great new habits, you start small, you know?
yes. So you
And
can start off by simply writing one sentence,
yeah,
period. That's all you have to do. Like today was a great day, or today, or a lot of people do gratitude journals. And that's another way to start. But here's a secret, especially from the world of behavior science. Don't just write down a numerical list of what you're grateful for. Write down what you're grateful for and how it made you feel.
okay.
Because when you add feelings to it, feelings are what drive behavior. Feelings are what really embed that particular thing that happened, that really embed it into your consciousness. So don't just write down the gratitude list or the list of the things that happened, but write about how it made you feel.
Yes.
That's the therapeutic part of journaling. But it
Yes.
can be small. I think the big thing is to make it where in any way that you can, sort of a sacred ritual for yourself, because that's who it's really for. It's for yourself. It's for there was this book that was published in the 70s. It's called How to Be Your Own Best Friend.
Okay.
That's what we all need. We all need to become our own best cheerleaders and our own best friends, because you can't always have everybody around cheering for you every day.
No, there's a lot of quiet, contemplative time and
Yeah.
alone time. But this
Mhm.
is a way to use it wisely. And so for our brains to not just capture the negative and then join the bandwagon that we see in the world today of the negativity, it's really about us being able to be self-aware enough to thrive at whatever age we are and in whatever condition
Right.
we find ourselves. Later this week, I'm going to interview a gentleman that started an AI image of his father. And so this is going to be very interesting. In other words, he fed into AI his father's characteristics, even his father, a picture of his father, and he can talk back and forth with him. But the reason why I bring that up is because when we were chatting, I said, you know, one thing for seniors is that we have a lot of memories. And those memories can come back to us when we're journaling. And like you said, your feelings, your thoughts. And he was sharing
Especially
how,
because you're writing and that slows your brain down.
yeah, so he said, well, I have a memento from my grandfather. And he said, this is the why this needs to stay in our family. And I was just thinking about that when it comes to journaling. You may take this in a totally different direction and pick out a memento that you want to write about or a memory that you want to write about. My father took the time to write about inventions that he had seen in his lifetime. So that could get you jump started. And then who knows where that could take you. So your first day of school or a typical school day for you, your first job, why that knickknack holds such a place on your shelf. And everybody says, why are you holding on to that? Well, there's a reason behind that. But there, you can also get online and look for topics like Pat
Yes,
Holly
you
said.
can.
You don't have to, but you can. Sometimes that's a really good way to get a new habit started. And I'm
Right.
guaranteeing you that if it's fun to do, you're going to get out of bed and you're going to look forward to that time in the morning, and you can just make it your own. But I would, one of my takeaways for you and for myself and for other people that I talk to is that social media and that endless scrolling and the emails and the stuff that we sometimes allow ourselves to be filled with take us down the wrong train of thought. And so being self-aware and knowing where those thoughts are coming from that are robbing us of joy and aren't allowing us to thrive and really enjoy the time that we've been given to live is a tragedy, truly. So it's just a time to think about it and to see if you'd like to try it. You've got two girlfriends here that do this and enjoy it. What else do you want to say about journaling today, Polly?
Well, I would say, give it a try for just 1 week.
Good idea.
Just give it a try. It may not be for everybody. I think it is, but that's my opinion. Um, but I think that any way in which you can have that sacred time for yourself, um, and including journaling, it sets up your day. I mean, even the pause for reflection and for quiet, for meditation, for prayer,
Hmm.
that sets your tone and it sets your intention for the day. And that is the difference between living your days as sort of a gray fog. One day is the same as the other, and just going through life in a sort of dreary way, and waking up and truly being alive. For each of us, with even though we may have hip replacements or things that aren't, it's a privilege. Each of us knows people who never made it this far. And
Right.
I think when we do these kind of practices, it enables us to live more intentionally and to be more alive.
Yeah. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, another day, I don't know if most of you probably have heard of someone ringing the bell when they're finished with their cancer treatments. And
Oh, yeah.
when you have somebody going through that, or you come across that and you think about it, to me, this is like ringing the bell. I get another day. I get another day,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that refreshes. That could be an
Right.
affirmation. Ring a bell. I've got another day. How am I going to use it? And this is the way I'm going to start. So I
Right.
love that self-awareness or hitting the refresh button or thriving instead of surviving is always better. And we just appreciate the opportunity to share our struggles and our successes with you. And we've done the homework. And I don't know if you can tell, but we're really having a great time. So I'm
Yes,
going
we
to
have.
challenge you, and Polly's going to be thinking of you as she's writing in her journal tomorrow because she's going to talk about what happened today and how it made her feel.
And it did. It gave me a great idea for our next topic because I've seen this go around on digital media. There's a whole new group of 30-year-old girls,
Girls.
and it's this trend towards analog bags. And an analog bag is it's like a Trader Joe's bag or a canvas bag, and in it you put all kinds of things that are non-digital for you to do instead of scrolling on your phone.
Oh,
It's a whole new thing. We'll talk about it next time.
oh,
I think it's going to be fun to talk about.
that's really fun. My nephew said to me, "Oh, did you know it's a new trend to like walk without having your headphones on?" And I thought, I've been doing that forever. I don't want to hear anybody talk when I'm out walking. Okay, you heard it, folks. That's what we're going to talk about. Get your analog
Yeah,
bag ready, and we'll tell
yeah.
you what to fill it with.
We'll demonstrate some analog bags.
Yeah, seniors, can we talk about analog bags? Got it.
Okay.
All right, bye, friends.
All right. Bye-bye.
Are you interested in learning more about tiny habits? Look for Polly Lemire at thrive-after65.com. You can learn more about aging in place, strategies, and answers by looking for my podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.